Hey guys, Nicole here at Obscure Reptiles and Caging. Today we're going to have a bonus video. We actually have a snake right now who just laid a whole clutch of eggs and we're going to be pulling those. I'm going to show you step by step, taking the eggs out, cleaning everything, why we do that, and getting them in the incubator. So let's get started. Hey guys, Nicole here at Obscure Reptiles and Caging, and we have a clutch of eggs right here we're about to pull. She's going to be pretty huffy. She's actually the worst one that I have to work with, so I thought this would be a good time to show you guys exactly how to get the eggs from the mom, how to safely not only get her out, but to clean the enclosure, why we do it, and get them in an incubator. So here, let's get started. She's going to be pretty bad, but that's okay. It's just because she's a very protective mom. As you can see, she just finished. She's going to hiss, she's going to huff. She really probably won't strike, but she's doing her best just to make sure I leave her alone. When you're doing this, the most important part is you want to try to not roll the eggs. She actually just had that last one on top. As you can see, they're sticking together pretty well, so they shouldn't roll. See how she pushes against me? That's her just trying to get me off them. She's not trying to hurt me. She's just trying to get me to leave her alone. So we're going to take her out. This is Hazel. She's the one in the original photo of this. She's going to be alright. As you can see, she's nice and flat now, so you cannot see another egg in her belly. That's how you know she's done laying. So we're going to take her completely out. She'll be fine in there for a while. And let's see how many eggs we have. So when we get a good clutch of eggs like this, we want to do our best to pull them apart. When they're brand new eggs like this, you can gently pull them apart and it won't hurt the egg. This way you can set them one at a time in the actual lay box, or in the actual bin that's going to go into the incubator. But we got to be super gentle when you pull them apart, because you don't want to rip anything. The ones that are lower, we shouldn't bother it. So this should be good. So we have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So she's actually the same as our albino pied this year. And the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to get the actual vermiculite ready. So this is vermiculite, and you can get it at any local, like Home Depot, or any places that will do plants or that kind of stuff. This right now is pretty dry, so what we're going to do is we're going to mix it. You can only get this around springtime, so I would definitely tell you to stock up on it. We use distilled water. That's what we have in this bottle right here, and I'm going to show you the consistency that you're looking for. Pour some water in, you give it a mix. It does get all over the place, but that's okay. It's easy to rinse off. Alright. It's actually pretty good. So what you want is you want it to be nice and wet, but see how it's not dripping out of my hand? You want it nice and wet. Dry out a good amount, so the way it is right now is pretty good. It's going to stick to your hands. So normally what I do right now is I'm going to rinse my hands real quick. Alright, so all we do is we're going to pick up the eggs. We're going to see if we can't fit this whole clutch in here right now. You don't want the eggs actually touching the sides, because when they do, there's going to be a lot of condensation on the walls of the bin, and you don't want the eggs touching that. It can make them mold. So what we do is we're going to put this over to the side, and when at all possible, you want to separate the eggs. These ones are sitting pretty, these ones will come off pretty easy if they go bad. Once they go bad, they'll actually be easy to peel off, but I took a couple off, that way they weren't going to be touching the lid. These last 3 should fit in here pretty well. You want to make sure that the top always stays the top. You don't want to rotate it, because inside, we'll show you with a flashlight, is the veins will already have started and there'll be a small air bubble at the top. So you don't want to roll it and change the orientation at all. You can even see where it was stuck, and it's still in the same orientation that it was. Here, turn off the lights real quick. Okay, and the reason we do this, so we're going to show you. Remember how it was already sitting up like that? See how there's already a vein going through a whole bunch? So you can kind of see where the outline of that vein is. They call that the circle of life. So we know that that egg is good. This egg must have been laid on its side, and while she was moving them around, she turned it. but it would have originally have been like that. The reason we're going to leave it is because it happened so quickly and the mom still moved it around that it's still going to be fine. If the mom moves it while this is happening, it's going to be fine. Like you can see right here, it's all around the sides. Good veins. The last two in here have really strong veins. So what we're going to do is you kind of nestle the eggs down in there so they can't really roll or do anything like that, because you want them to stay in that same orientation. Some people will go and put marks on them. You have to make sure you have non-toxic markers, stuff like that. But I always just set them the way they are, and I know that they're nestled in enough that there's not going to be an issue. And the next thing that I will go and do is not only will I put the lid on, I will have a pre-made tag for all of them. So generally what I'll do is something simple like this. I'll write down the day that the eggs were laid. 9 good, 0 bad. I always use pencil because they could still go bad throughout this process. And then I'll go through and I'll count up what about 60 days is, and then I'll write down when they're going to hatch. And I will tape that right to the top of the bin. So right here we have our incubator. It's a little bit loud, so we're going to go quick. But we're going to put the eggs right inside. We keep our incubator set. It's at 90 degrees, which actually gives you a hot, like around the top is around 91, 92, and the bottom's closer to 88, 89. It's okay if there's a variance as long as you keep those eggs at those shelves. So for example, if you have one down towards the bottom, it's right at 89 degrees. Don't switch it with one of the ones halfway through, because that's going to possibly give your animals something like they could have duck bills or kinks or deformations. So you're going to want to just keep them where they are at all times, even though they're a few degrees difference. As long as you're not switching them around, they should be fine. So what we're doing right now is we're going to completely clean out this bin. The reason that we do this is because if the female can still smell the eggs at all, she's not going to want to feed for us. She's not feeding, she's not growing, and there's been a lot of studies and tests done. If the snake can eat within the first week of having her eggs, and she can continuously eat every week after that, your chances of having eggs the next season or more eggs than normal the next season is a lot higher. So what we're going to want to do is right here is just a Reptile chip. You can see she pushed it all out of the way. That way she could have her eggs safely on one side. We're going to dump all of it out. And like we talked about in our other video, this is our F10 mixture. We're going to not only completely douse this, we're going to actually also completely clean the water dish. That way, in case she moved over there while she was having her eggs and laying them, they're not going to smell at all like eggs. So we're going to completely clean this, wash and sanitize it. And the F10 is safe to still use on things like water bowls. So we're going to completely clean inside, outside, underneath, all that stuff. Put brand new Reptile chip in here when we're done. And hopefully she'll be eating for us very soon. Because for example, like our albino pied, she just had a clutch 2-3 days ago. She already had her first meal. Normally what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to give them at least 2 or 3 days to calm down, relax. But you'll see right away if they're acting like they're hungry. I was feeding everybody else, even though she had just had her last clutch. I decided throw one in there, see how she does. And right away she took the meal. You're always going to want to do a smaller meal, especially right after they've had eggs, because you want them to be able to digest. Normally when they're breeding, they stop eating. So you want them to have time for their body to readjust to eating food. Because for example, if they breed for 6 months, maybe only the last 2 months they stop eating, they've ovulated, then it goes another 40 days until they're going to have their eggs. So it's 3 to 4 months of them having no food in their system. So if you go and you give them a giant meal right after they haven't eaten in that long, it's a good way to get a prolapse, which is what we covered in our first video. And you definitely do not want your females or your males, any of them, having a prolapse. So we've completely cleaned, sanitized everything in here. She actually doesn't have a hide to worry about because she's a little bit too big and she doesn't use it anyway. So we're going to put her back in here and you're already going to see the demeanor of her is completely changed. So let me grab my hook just in case she decides to be a little bit grumpy, but she should be much better than what she was. Remember before how she was really huffy and puffy and pushing against me and hissing? You can see how skinny she is. That's how you know all the eggs are gone. But see how she's not striking, not freaking out. She knows the eggs aren't there. She's a lot more calm. And now when she goes back in here, everything clean, sanitized. There's no eggs for her to be protective over. Within a few days, she should be eating no problem. But put her in there nice and gentle. No hissing. Keep her in there. Let her relax a little bit. And there you go. that's all it is for removing eggs from a female. Some females are going to be a lot worse than this. Some will be even easier. She was pretty puffy, but a lot of times they're not going to strike unless you're really messing with them. So just make sure all the eggs are out. Make sure you take them out, put them in the right incubator, have everything properly set up, and just make sure that you clean and sanitize everything to get them feeding. Okay guys, and that's our quick little video on how to take the eggs away from a female ball python. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. We'll be posting more videos. We're going to do it almost every Wednesday. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.